You're listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I am your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
I've got a pop quiz for you.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Okay. What do these three teams have in common? Duke, Houston, and Arizona.
They can't handle our Red Raiders.
I will also accept that as correct. There's so many correct answers there. What I was shooting for was this would be a good Jeopardy question. Who are top four teams in the country that have lost to Texas Tech?
Duke, Arizona, Kansas.
Whoa. Houston. We beat Kansas too.
Houston. That's what I meant.
But we did beat Kansas. Let's not leave that out. We'd probably beat Michigan at this point. Schedule them.
Purdue.
Schedule the Wolverines. Sure. Purdue. Whatever.
That was good.
Texas Tech doesn't play good basketball in the Bahamas. That's been documented. Let's get stateside. Let's suit up. Let's see what happens. How are you, man?
Man, I'm doing well. Honestly, because it was because it was Valentine's Day, I had just chalked up. I was not going to be able to watch the basketball game. I was just like, you know what? It's whatever. Playing Arizona and Tucson, it's going to be tough. I'm going to concern myself with being present with my wife on Valentine's Day. We had dinner. We had a dance to go to, and then we get there. We're getting kind of settled in. And the ESPN, the live updates on my phone, it's like, Texas Tech is up by 3 with 46 seconds to go. I was like, hold the phone. Let me check into this bad boy real quick. And of course, I had very little service. So I actually walked outside for a second to get better reception. And that's how I went to overtime. I was like, all right, well, I can't stand here for overtime. So I went back in. And I was following it as best I could. And I saw we won. I was like, heck yeah. I had missed that Arizona had already lost. So in the moment, I was like, we just gave them their first loss of the season. That wasn't entirely true. But, man, I was pumped. I was pumped to see that they pulled it out. I went and watched the extended highlights. I actually watched the Big 12 YouTube channel. They posted the entire overtime. So I watched that. That was entertaining. Sorry. I don't know if we can undersell Leon Horner and his performance.
No. Thank you.
I would start there. I would just say, being that you basically got 2 full possessions there as time is expiring in overtime because of offensive rebounds. One of them came from Horner, who was flying in from the scorer's table when that shot went up, it looked like. And then he found Atwell, at the top of the key. It was unbelievable. JT Toppin, I think it was second player in Big 12 history to have 30 plus points, 10 plus rebounds against a number 1 AP team. He went 31 and 12, I believe.
Yeah. Well, 13. Sorry, not to correct you, but I was
excuse me, 31, 13. We don't want to rob Vinny of his accolades, his flowers. Man, it's good to be back. You very, very handily dispatched Colorado last week. I was flying back from Houston that night, so I watched most of the game. You ended up winning by 34 points. Colorado only ends up scoring 44 on the night. 78-44. It's 39-22 at half, 39-22 for the second half. It was a repeat performance first to second half for both teams. You just consistently or constantly just kept building your lead and like in such a way that they never had a shot to get back in it. They shot horrendously. They were 16 of 55 from the field, were the Buffaloes, 6 of 25 from three, and only attempted 10 free throws on the night. They were 60% there. You out rebounded them by 17. I mean, it was just, you shot pretty good, but defensively, you absolutely held them to just an atrocious shooting night. Obviously, if you only give up 44 points. You got some interesting quotes from their head coach saying how they're embarrassed. I felt he was laying on a little thick there.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way.
But I mean,
he was playing to the crowd a little bit. This is kind of how I felt.
I can't appreciate that he wasn't making excuses and he wasn't like finger pointing or was like, oh, it just wasn't our night and blah blah blah. He's like, we were terrible, and he took responsibility for it, and he didn't Jerome Tang it, which we can get to it in a little bit, where he talked about how they're not good enough to wear the jersey. They took their names off the jerseys, made them run, stadium stairs the next morning. One of his last moves before he got fired, which we'll get into. But yeah, you did that, which was, I mean, I wouldn't say winning by 34 is expected, but winning handily was expected to kind of get moving back, with some positive momentum going into the weekend, the road trip at number 1 Arizona. You were a double-digit underdog. If you look at Haslametrics, he was an 11-point favorite there for Arizona. You had a 2-point lead there going into the final possession, so you had a chance to win it in regulation. But I mean, yes, it was a tie game. Obviously, if it goes to overtime, but it was 32-32 at half. Both teams scored 34 in the second half to send it to overtime. They end up hitting free throws there with just a few seconds to go to tie it, to send it to overtime. Leon Horner, we talked about it a second ago. He played 26 minutes. It was unbelievable. I think you were forced into playing a bigger lineup because of just the makeup of that Arizona team. Jalen Petty he played 13 minutes, but he was 1 of 4. He just looked like it was just not going to be feasible for him to get a lot of minutes going against those trees. Bamboye played 13 minutes. I probably would have expected Mosley to play a little bit more than 3 minutes, but you got 44 from Donovan Atwell and JT Toppin minutes each, and then 45 from Christian Anderson. Those guys barely came off the floor. Lawan Watts played 30. Talked about Toppin's night. He was 13 of 22 from the field. He did hit a 3, 4 of 6 from the free throw line, 13 rebounds, and only 2 fouls, which is huge to keep him, out of foul trouble. 31 and 13 with only 2 fouls. Anderson ended up having 4 fouls. Petty fouled out. Bamboye fouled out. There was an instant there was like Anderson and Bamboye could have been called for a foul, and luckily, I guess it was Bamboye. It kept Anderson in the game. Anderson had a very quiet 19 and 8 and 6 rebounds.
Right.
I mean, he was
if there is such a thing, yeah.
I mean, and the instance that like JT Top and Donovan Atwell got a lot of attention, and Atwell only put up 11 points, but he hit 3 threes, and those 3 threes were like absolutely monumental when he hit them. But for Anderson to nearly have, I mean, he was 2 assists and 4 rebounds away from a triple double. I mean, he was everywhere. You needed that kind of game, obviously, to take down a team like Arizona. You watch a team like Arizona play, and not only like throughout the season, but in this game, you're like, man, this is a team that can like give literally anybody a run for them. Like as a number one team, obviously, I'm not saying anything earth shattering here. You look at them, their size, and how they play. Like this is legit. This team is legit. They can beat anybody anywhere, and have a legit shot at making a deep run in the tournament. And you were right there. You're 1-2 of Anderson and Toppin, and sprinkling on Atwell. It was so much fun to go back and watch that one.
Yeah, and to go back to the second half, there was almost a 5-minute stretch there where Arizona led by 7. Like they just kind of built a little lead. Tech would cut it into 5 or something, and then Arizona would score again. You just kind of felt the momentum shifting their way, and it wasn't a great feeling. And I was already starting to think, well, it's tough to win there. You're doing all the things. You're talking in your head. It's tough to win there. This is the number one team in the country. They just lost. They lost their first game, bouncing back at home. They're going to be ready, man. Hopefully our guys can keep it close. And then Christian Anderson decided to hit 2 threes in a row, and Toppin makes a layup. And then all of a sudden, Tech takes their first lead. I think it's their first lead, and they go up 30-29 with a little over 2 minutes left in the second half, or the first half. And then the rest of the game is like that. The entire rest of the game is just back and forth, back and forth. I don't remember the lead getting much beyond 4 or something, either direction from there. And I was kind of in a similar boat. So my wife and I we had our kind of Valentine's date night Friday night. And so I actually cooked out on Saturday evening. And so I was working at the grill and stuff, and just kind of checking on the score here and there. I didn't really get the chance to sit and watch the game till probably the last 10 minutes, but I got to see just enough. I got to see that run, that 8-0 run right there, that really got me right back in it. And then of course, Tech goes into halftime and comes back out, and it's that way the whole way. So it was just to kind of sing Anderson's praises again. Yes, I mean, we can say that his stats don't pop like you might expect or might have thought, but those 2 threes were massive. Yeah. And they were back to back.
Mm-hmm.
And then and I was blown away by this win. I was really impressed by it. You could tell, Coach McAslin had me wanting to run through a brick wall during one of the timeouts. They showed what he was saying, and he wasn't calling them out, but he was just telling them that they should be ready to fight. They should be ready to go. And I'm not even going to attempt to say what he said because it won't do it justice. But it was very well done. And then you see I think some of them are already memes, like some of the guys coming off the court during a timeout when Tech just took a lead or made a big shot towards the end of the game, and they were ready. They were ready to win that game. So just a all out incredible win. I think Anderson played every minute, including overtime. I think he had 45 minutes.
He played 45. Toppin and Atwell played 44 each, so they were only out for a combination of 1 minute.
It's nuts. And like you've already talked about Horner, but he had those 5 rebounds, felt like every single one of them was pivotal game changing rebounds. And they weren't like, oh, it just landed in his hands. Dude fought for him and refused to be blocked out and just battled. I mean, he rushed the court basically to get in the lane for those rebounds. It was just really impressive. You know, this team just continues to surprise me and impress me. The dominant win against Colorado, where Toppin had a double-double, yet somehow had more rebounds than points. What? Sure, why not? You know, you have 16 points, but more rebounds. Okay, it's going to be that kind of night for you, Buffalo. Sorry about that. But I was a little surprised to see Tech do what they did on Saturday, but I'm here for it, man. Keep it rolling.
Yeah, Horner. So of his 5 rebounds, only 1 was offensive, and it was right there in overtime.
I know, and that seems. I just feel like there's maybe he bounced one around, or I just think he's not getting credited for something else he did. I'm just surprised to see that.
Yeah,
that's all.
I mean, okay, we'd be missing something. We didn't mention that Koa Pete did only play 11 minutes for Arizona. He was injured. It was announced tonight he's going to miss a week with a muscle strain. I mean, it happens. It sucks. You wish you would have had Anderson healthy when we played UCF a few weeks ago. He was out with his illness. Probably would have won that game. I mean, their starters, Braden Burries, Karchenkov, Bradley, Krivas, they all played 38 or more minutes. Toby Awaka, he played 37, guy off the bench. Pete only played 11, but I think Awaka played a lot of minutes in his stead. Awaka finished with 16 points, 12 rebounds. Krivas had 10 points, 11 rebounds. They had 2 guys with double-doubles. 5 guys scoring double figures, 10, 11, 13, and 2 guys with 16. This is my first time watching them play this year. They're so dang good. I don't want to see him again. I don't want to play him again. They have, I believe, BYU next. But Texas Tech is playing Arizona State tonight. They haven't even tipped off yet. They won't for their 23 minutes, but it is a slim line. I say slim, 8 points projected for Texas Tech. We'll see how that plays out a little bit later tonight. I believe the team has just stayed in Arizona. They got there. They played the game on Saturday. They're playing the game tonight and Tuesday, and then we'll fly back. And then this weekend, the 21st, Saturday afternoon, they're going to face Kansas State. We mentioned Jerome Tang is out. He's had a weird week going back to calling his players out and, racking up some of the worst conference losses in Kansas State history. I think they lost by 29 or whatever it was to Cincinnati. I mean, it's not good. So they're gonna pony up and pay him the $18 million not to coach for them anymore. We'll see who they get.
$18 million.
Yeah, it's a big
What
buyout.
kind of basketball coach has a buyout like that?
Jerome Tang, apparently.
Wow.
I don't know who else. I mean, yeah. And then next Tuesday, the 24th, Texas Tech will play that Cincinnati team that knocked off Kansas State and Jerome Tang. So you've got 3 games here, all winnable. Tough one, obviously, on the road tonight, Arizona State, then 2 at home, Kansas State, Cincinnati, and then you go on the road next weekend, next Saturday, to Iowa State. Iowa State currently 6th. And
they could move up. They just beat Houston last night.
Yeah, they beat Houston last night. Houston was 3. They were up to number 2, or are up to number 2. We'll see how that changes. Arizona dropped from 1 to 4. Iowa State moved from 5 to 6. Kansas moved up from 9 to 8. Texas Tech got a little bit of respect for defeating Colorado, and then obviously Arizona going from 16 to 13. BYU dropped 1, 22 to 23. No other team in the Big 12 is receiving votes. currently at 9-3. You are tied for 4th in the Big 12 standings with the Jayhawks. 2 games in the Big 12 were TCU at UCF and Baylor at Kansas State tonight. TCU at UCF should be final. Baylor at Kansas State should be going final soon.
Ooh, revenge game for Jerome Tang. 61-42. Kansas State over Baylor right now in the second half. I know. With Kansas State, I have no idea. So at half it was Kansas State leading 31. Nope. Sorry. Math is hard. 41-34.
Okay.
And they just scored again. So they're up 63-42. They have outscored Baylor 22-8 in the second half.
That's surprising.
But yeah, UCF game has gone final. UCF won at home 82-71.
Wow.
You probably said that. I'm sorry.
I did not. Well,
I was looking up. I was scrambling looking this up, and I thought, oh man, I hope you didn't say that.
I said they were going final.
Yeah.
So Texas Tech in the AP is 13. In Ken Palm, they are 16. In Haslam, they are 16. In Net, they are 16.
Pretty considerable jump in all. Well, especially in Ken Palm and Haslam. Very considerable jump.
Yeah. Ken Palm went from 21 to 16. Haslam went from 24 to 16. So
yeah, and I think Net was 19 to 16, so not as big a jump, but still significant.
Now, while the men were victorious on Valentine's, the women were not. They dropped a 10-point loss to Oklahoma State in Stillwater, 75-65. They were victorious on the 10th, so last Tuesday, 70-65. So they split the week. They are now 23-4, 10-4 in Big 12 play. That is 4th in the conference. But that game on Saturday at Oklahoma State, they had a rough second quarter, Michael. They were outscored 22-9.
Yeah,
that's basically. That's it, really. I mean, when they lose by 10 and they had a 13-point differential there in one quarter.
Yeah, and not only that, but none of the threes were falling. You know, they were 4 of 21 for the day. That's 19%. So they shot pretty much half of what they normally do. So it became apparent quickly that Oklahoma State was going to run away with it. They were going to hang on to this lead. Had a lot of scores in double figures, a lot of players pitching in, playing well. I think they out-rebounded Tech by 10. Yep, they did. Tech did a decent job holding, not turning over the ball, but man, their game relies quite a bit on hitting some open threes, and they were not falling.
Snudda Collins was the only player that made more than 1 3, and she made 2. Bailey Maupin was 1 of 6. Jimmy Nunez is 0 for 2. Danae Fritz 1 of 4. Jalen Bristow 0 for 2. It was just a rough shooting night.
Yep. And so it just could never recover. And Tech kept battling. They kept trying to close the gap in the fourth, but man, Oklahoma State always found an answer. So Tech did end up scoring 27 in the fourth quarter, but Oklahoma State scored 24. So it's just hard to gain back any ground when their offense was humming as well as it was too. And just not the best defensive effort I believe we've seen this year from the Lady Raiders, but chance to, win another big one at home, a chance to sweep Baylor this year. They've got them coming into town tomorrow night, Wednesday night, the 18th. Number 15 Baylor will be here. It's at 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus, followed by a game in Boulder heading to Colorado on the 21st, and then going to Kansas on Wednesday the 25th. Kansas, that game that you mentioned, that was just a weird game. Lots of reviews, lots of foul calls, some pretty egregious fouls by Kansas. So I'm kind of interested to see these two clash again in a couple weeks. I feel like that's a pretty quick turnaround for the game that I got to see. I only got to see the second half of it. We were at the Court Queens game. They've apparently scheduled all our games at the exact same time as the Lady Raider games. That'll happen to us 3 times. But anyway, I got to catch the second half of the Kansas game.
A lot of points scored in the second half.
Yes.
It was a 17-15 scoring output in the third quarter, 25-25 in the fourth in this Kansas game. So 40.
Yeah, very low
42
halftime
points.
score.
Yeah, it was 25-28. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can do math.
Yeah, you can. Nice job.
know.
As far as the AP goes, Big 12 world at least, TCU went from 17 to 12. Baylor went from 12 to 15, and West Virginia stayed 19. Texas Tech dropped from 16 to 20, but hopefully they have a chance to pick up a little bit of momentum facing Baylor at home tomorrow night.
That feels like a pretty strong drop for losing a game on the road.
They have not been very kind to the Lady Raiders this year. All 3 teams ranked above them. Texas Tech. So, what can you do? So
Yeah.
They've beaten West Virginia on the road. They've beaten Baylor on the road, and they've beaten TCU at home. But, oh well. I do think it has been a little bit unkind to them. But yeah, especially an Oklahoma State team that was receiving votes, I believe, last week, and somehow they're not receiving votes this week. And they've got a good record. Pretty solid team. I was worried about this game, and they were definitely something to worry about. That's for sure.
Yeah. Let's jump over to stickball, softball, and baseball. They've had a flurry of games. We talked about the start of softball season being already a week ago. They are now 11-1 on the season. They did drop their first game, their most recent game, Sunday afternoon, to number 8 Nebraska. It was a 2-3 affair. They gave up 3 runs in the bottom of the fourth. Was never able to come back from that. So they are Texas Tech 11-1, and the number 8 Nebraska are 6-4. So make that make sense. Najee Kennedy gets her first loss of the season. She went 4 2/3. Samantha Lincoln went the last inning and a third. But Najee gave up a home run in the fourth, and then a single that scored. It was a 2-run home run and then a single down the line. That were the 3 runs scored for Nebraska. But besides that, you had played perfect. You were just defeating teams just unkindly, left and right. This past weekend in the Clearwater Invitational, started off defeating number 6 Florida State 3-2, Northwestern 5-0. Number 23 FAU, you beat them 8-0 in 5 innings. Saturday, NC State, you beat them 14-1 in 5 innings. James Madison on Saturday, you beat them 5-0. And then you hit Sunday versus Nebraska, and you dropped 2-3. Not the end of the world to lose a game, but you've got so many more. You've got 2 more games on Thursday. This is the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic in Cathedral City, California. If you maintained your Flow Sports subscription, you'll be able to catch all these games. 2 on Thursday, Fresno State and Team Japan. Then Friday, Bethune-Cookman at 2:30. And another doubleheader on Saturday, Cal State Fullerton at 2 and San Diego State at 4:30. And then Sunday morning, before heading back to Lubbock, you've got UC Riverside at 11 a.m. So,
good start. Good start for the Red Raider softball squad. I'd say 11-1. I'll take it.
Yeah, and
Kind of
I tuned to a little bit.
a weird
One
a
of the
weird L to Nebraska, and I don't want to dwell on that. It's fine. Stuff happens. It's one game.
yeah, your team. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Maya Williams, she's batting 514 so far in the season, slugging 971, stealing a ton of bases, 8 of 9 on the season so far. She's hit 7 doubles, 3 home runs, 17 RBI. Caitlin Terry's hitting 480, Maya Davis 474, Lauren Allred 429. Scroll down. Nyjah Kennedy not batting a whole bunch. She's had 10 total at bats. She's 1 of 10, but that one was a home run. So her on base, her slugging is 400, even though she's hitting 100. As a team, you've hit 17 home runs so far, scored 96 runs. Scored 101 runs. Only surrendered 15. Your team is batting 368, slugging 660, stolen 24 bases on 28 attempts. I mean, you're just doing everything.
Yeah, and of these 12 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 finished in 5 innings.
There you go. So you've got this road tournament this weekend in Cathedral City, California. Then you host one, the Janine McCaney Memorial Classic. So the next weekend, starting on Thursday, you host ACU. Friday, North Texas. Saturday, my very own Texas A&M Corpus Christi. And then Detroit Mercy. Michael asks in the notes, is this a hospital? Sounds like it.
Yeah, it could be. Detroit Mercy Hospital softball team.
And Sunday, they have a doubleheader, and they're both rematches. First game will be Texas A&M Corpus Christi, the Islanders, and then the North Texas Mean Green to follow. So they've got 6 games this weekend, 6 games next weekend. And then they start Big 12 play on the road at Houston Friday, March 6th.
Seems quick. Seems very quick to already be talking about
Big 12 opener. But by the time they hit Big 12 opener, they will have played
37 games.
20, what is it?
43.
12 more, 23, 24 games.
That was close.
Yeah. Baseball, on the other hand,
woo!
0-3 start, and the Shriners Children's College Showdown in Arlington. We anticipated this was going to be a tough open to the season with Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas. Oklahoma Friday night, you lose 10-3. That one's it was kind of close for a little bit, and then Oklahoma just kind of opened it up on you. Vanderbilt, man, I was taking score here. One, the stat keeping scorebook online it's missing something. There's problems all over it, but you gave up an 8-run bottom of the 4th to Vanderbilt. And at that point it was 8-1. And then you gave up 4 more in the bottom of the 8th, which I guess was a run rule because you didn't play 9th, and you lost by 10. So maybe in these kind of tournaments, they're looking for speed, and especially if you're not the last game, they're going to go ahead and end the game a little early to get on to the next ones. Because games like this are going to take a while. Like the one tonight, it's been going. Let's see, 3.5 hours, and we're only in the 7th. Which we'll get to that in a minute.
27 runs scored total.
27 runs scored. But on last Saturday, it was 16 runs, 13-3. Bright spot here, I'll point out, was Brady Trumbello made his return to the mound, which you love to see that. He didn't do so hot, but besides his on-field performance, the way that he went down and with the injury he sustained last season, one, it's a minor miracle he survived, but two, that he's still playing baseball. You'd love to see that he made his return and is pitching again for you. Sunday, you had a puncher's chance against Arkansas. You actually had to lead. Top of the ninth, you score 4 runs. You take a 5-4 lead there in the top of the ninth. Arkansas is able to tie it there in the bottom, and then they walk it off in the 11th. So heartbreaker there. You had a chance to win your first game. You did so much of your, like, obviously most of your damage there in the ninth to then give it up in the 11th. But the thing I'll point out here, I don't know if you watched the game or if you're following along, former Red Raider TJ Pompey is on this Arkansas squad, and not the first Red Raider to transfer to Arkansas. And the recent past, Hudson White was also a Razorback, I think 2024, and Mason Molina. So 0-3 start. Again, not really all that unexpected with the direction of this team, the roster, and the quality of opponent you were facing. The matchup tonight down in the Valley, you were taking on UTRGV. You're like, this is going to be a great spot to bounce back. You had a horrendous start to this game. You did jump up 2-0 in the top of the first, but then through a 65 pitch first inning, you allowed the Vaqueros to plate 8 runs in the bottom of the first on 7 walks. And let's see where do I go to the home stats? The page isn't going to work for me, but it was something ridiculous, like 2 hits maybe and 7 walks in that first inning. It has since evened out.
They had 2 left on base too.
Yeah. The Vaqueros are 7 of 26 from the plate tonight, so they're only batting .269, whereas Texas Tech is 17 of 36. They're .472. You've only surrendered 1 walk since the 7-walk first inning, but you walked 8 guys. Your offense, however, has walked or gained or earned 7 walks themselves. 9 strikeouts though, but 8 extra base hits. You are current, like I said, like Michael said, you're up 17-10, which is that's a football score, guys. And
It is.
Bottom of the 7th, you had a 2-run first, 7-run third, 2 in the 4th, 5 in the 6th, and so far 1 in the 7th. Or sorry, you had 1 in the top of the 7th. UTRGV is batting now, the bottom of the 7th. 1 out. They do have a single, so they've got a runner on first.
I do
so
think
it
I
looks
had
like
7-0 on the Super Bowl squares. It felt pretty good about that. It turns out that would have been better here than the Super Bowl.
That would have hit here, yeah. So far in the season, you've not had a great, just not good start anywhere really, offense or pitching. I haven't been able to do a deep dive just yet, but this is setting up to be a long season. We'll see how it ends up developing, but so far not great, Bob. You will come home from this game to then have your home opener this weekend, Friday, doubleheader on Saturday, and then on Sunday versus Albany. All games on ESPN Plus. 2 p.m. first pitch on Friday, which seems awfully early. 12 p.m. on Saturday for the first game. 45 minutes after the conclusion of game 2, you'll go for your doubleheader, and then first pitch on Sunday will be 1 p.m. and then you get your series versus Cal State Bakersfield started the following Friday, also at 2 p.m. So I wonder what that's about. What Tadlock's doing with a Friday start time in the afternoon instead of at night. Were you able to watch or turn on any of the game tonight down there in Edinburgh, McAllen?
I did. Yes. It was glitchy.
Yeah. Okay. It wasn't just me and my internet. What was your impression of their stadium/field?
I mean, I got a good impression. I liked how far along this. I've been watching too much basketball, so I'm just going to call it the sideline. That's not right, is it? Baseline? How far, the outfield line? Foul line.
Baseline?
Sure. No, not baseline, because that's on the baseline of the under the basket. That's not right.
First base. First baseline?
Yeah. There you go.
Because like when you said it, it didn't sound right, but I was like, well, wait. I think if you talk about it, yeah. Anyways,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think okay. When they said they had 6,500 people there, I was like, there's no way their stadium is that big, and it is. They've had a heck of a start to their home season there. They hosted Kansas this weekend, and now they're obviously hosting Texas Tech. The field surface, the grass, the playing surface, I was really impressed with it, but also just the stadium itself. I was like, man, that's a pretty sweet setup they got going on down there. And it's like that's kind of like not embarrassing so much, but like if UTRGV can figure out how to put 6,600 people in a baseball game, surely Texas Tech can figure it out to expand past 4,000, right?
You would think. One would think.
Extend the bleachers, especially on the first base side, a little bit further down.
Yes, and that's what I liked the most was how far the bleachers went on the first base side, and how deep they went. They were pretty far back off the field too. I was pretty impressed with it. They did talk attendance for like a full inning, I'm pretty sure, and that's fine. I learned more about the UT system than I ever cared to during the little bit of watching this game. They went on later to talk about the fact that I didn't know this either, but UTRGV had their very first ever football season this year. In the FCS ranks, went 9-3. I think finished third in the conference. Dang, that's pretty good, pretty darn good right there. So they've obviously got some folks that are willing to pony up and get the facilities built and all the things that need to be built to expand to a football team. So I guess I shouldn't be too surprised that they have a baseball stadium that can seat 6,500 and has been averaging. I think they averaged over 4K for the first. This will be the fourth game, I guess, but they had several thousand in the stands first 4 games.
I think they mentioned they had with the first 4 games they had like 20,000 fans.
I think, yeah, maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe closer to 5.
Yeah. Anyways, say that I bring it up. It was impressive. I was not expecting that level of facility from them, and just like wow, Texas Tech's got some competition from UTRGV. And not really because they're
Puff. Is it Puff Fund? Do you think that's probably it?
Who even knows? Downstream revenue from the system, maybe. All right, let's talk about football, Michael. Let's go through this really quickly. One, as it would happen to come out the day that we would have recorded last week, but we recorded it because I was traveling. Texas Tech had 2 departures on the defensive staff and 2 hires announced. So outside linebackers coach CJ Ayu is hired by the Steelers to be their outside linebackers coach. And then defensive line coach Zarnell Fitch at the time, I don't know if it's been updated, but at the time, we just heard that his contract was not going to be renewed. And there's a lot of interest and smoke to him joining the USC staff under Lincoln Riley and his former coach and defensive coordinator, Gary Patterson. Is there an update there? I don't even know.
This is all somewhat news to me, aside from his contract not being renewed.
Okay, no, there's no update yet, but yeah, essentially that he was not going to be retained for whatever reason. And then in their stead, Amarje Albury Sr. has been hired as the defensive line coach, where he was previously the defensive line coach for the Minnesota Vikings, and he had been there for 5 years. He played in the Big 12 for West Virginia. So you love that you are picking up an NFL staff member. And then also you're adding, I don't know if it's Jack Smith. I'm just going to go Jack Smith, outside linebackers coach from the Atlanta Falcons. He had been there for 2 years. Previous to that, he was the assistant edge coach at Texas in 2023. And he was defensive quality control assistant at UL Lafayette, ULala, from 19 to 22. Originally from the Dallas area in Oak Cliff, played at Missouri, and had played and spent time on 8 different NFL rosters in his professional playing career. So welcome to the staff, coaches Amarje Albury Sr. and Jaquez Smith. Jack. So
I like the NFL to Lubbock pipeline that we have here.
It's interesting that you didn't go after former staff members of Woods from Tulane or from Houston, but that you got guys from the NFL. So yeah, I do like the optics of that. I do like the tutoring, the molding of guys that want to be playing for the NFL or playing towards the NFL. That now we've got 2 guys that were there with that experience now on your staff, saying, "Hey, this is what they're looking for. This is how you're going to get there. This is what we can do to make you the best player possible to get you ready to play in a professional setting." So, speaking of the combine's coming up, Michael, did you notice anything from the list of invitees from the Texas Tech roster?
I did not look at that very closely. Was it a short list?
So
was there a significant snub?
Well, not a short list for Texas Tech. It's actually the biggest ever, 8. These are the guys from the Red Raider squad from this season that will be attending the NFL Combine. Baron Morton, Caleb Douglas, Reggie Virgil, David Bailey, Skylar Gill Howard, Romello Height, Lee Hunter, Jacob Rodriguez. Is there somebody that stands out, or impressions of that list, Michael?
I mean, I feel good about it. My brain's already moved on so far from football that it's hard for me to wrap my head around who's missing. I'm a little surprised that Morton got invited.
Same.
I'll go ahead and say that, not to be a hater or a jerk, but I'm surprised that they watched the film and thought. Anyway, that did surprise me a little bit. There's probably someone obvious that I am missing, and I can't think. I'm glad SGH made it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since he only had 4 games or so on tape this year. Very impressed that they recognized that that was probably enough. That was probably all they needed to see. And he gave him a shot after coming back from an injury. But no, what are your impressions? What do you got? What am I
Yeah.
obviously missing?
So I was also surprised that Baron Morton was included. And then on the defensive side, I was a little surprised if they were going to take Baron Morton, why they wouldn't take Cole Wisniewski.
Mm.
I think he
Yep.
had a as impact. Sorry, it's hard to say you're comparing impact of a defensive player to a quarterback, especially with the type of season your defense did. For draft eligible players that are moving on from your team, Wisniewski's like the only one that wasn't invited. So, I would be surprised if Morton makes a team and Wisniewski doesn't. I'd actually be like more confident that Wisniewski will make a team than Morton will, even with the combine invite. So that's all.
I could see
Last
that.
thing on football. Did you see that Mississippi State is scared of playing our Red Raiders?
No.
So the SEC is moving to a 9-game conference schedule, right? So they're joining the rest of the world playing 9 conference games. And so what do? They cut their Power 5 opponent off their schedule. Because, adding one more conference game, that's just too much. So
we can't play 10 Power 5 opponents in a year. That's just too hard.
Oh, but guess who else does that?
How are they going to play Austin? Yeah, how are they going to play Austin Peay in late November if they play Texas Tech? It's just not going to work.
So the only game on their schedule currently for the 2028 season is Memphis. But they will have conference games. Will be Alabama, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, LSU, South Carolina, Texas, Auburn, Missouri, Oklahoma. So they'll play Memphis, Austin Peay, or Troy. No, not even Troy. Southern Mississippi, probably.
Yeah, so kind of in that same vein, Texas Tech's 2028 non-conference opponents are now just Stephen F. Austin and Wyoming. 2029, let's see. Incarnate Word in Missouri State.
Yeah, I would assume one of those is going to get cut. You're not going to play 2 teams like that. There's no way. But first, you got to figure out how to get.
I wonder if the Incarnate Word meant more when
Eric Morris was there.
Sorry. Yes. Yep. Sorry. We're apparently on a delay again. So I'm not sure what happened. Sorry about that.
It's probably my internet, all the streaming going on in the house. Anyways, we'll look forward to seeing how that schedule vacancy is filled. But right now, Mississippi State and their cowbells are shaking their boots to play a little Texas Tech. All right, I got a question before we wrap it up with what we learned. Okay?
Okay.
I love the delay here. It's fantastic. Today, as we are, 90 minutes away from the end of the day, is Fat Tuesday or Mardi Gras. Do you observe? Do you celebrate? Do you have a king cake or order of beignets, some crawfish?
I do not. And the only way I ever know that it's Fat Tuesday is because my mother-in-law was a French teacher. And so she's super into it. She's super into all the things. Her and my wife went and had a big brunch today and had eggs Benedict. And then I think she found some seafood somewhere for lunch, or my mother-in-law did. Yeah, she's the only reason I ever know that, and we have one vendor at work who will send a king cake to the office, and they sent it last week, and I thought, "Oh, well, that must be coming up." And then I never looked into it. What about
Today.
you? Do you observe?
Well, we used to, because my mom's family, y'all know, or y'all know, y'all may remember, probably not. They're from Southwest Mississippi, little historic town called Natchez, just a couple hours north of Baton Rouge and New Orleans. We grew up celebrating Mardi Gras. We did all of it, king cake. We had crawfish boils. For whatever reason, probably because there was a restaurant there in town. We would also have tamales, and this is from like a white, like the whitest tamale restaurant you could imagine. But it's where I learned how to eat tamales with ketchup on them. Yeah, it's a safe space, right? Yeah. Anyways, um, I've we had king cake in our house probably a couple years ago. I found one at United, and then we would have one in the office every now and then because my boss back there at my last job was from Louisiana, so she was usually one to celebrate. Um, and then working for a Catholic organization, we were very in tune with the Lenten schedule. So we knew when Ash Wednesday was. Obviously, Mardi Gras Fat Tuesday is the day before Ash Wednesday. Ash Wednesday is the start of the Lent season, which is, of course, 6 weeks leading up to Easter. So, all that to say, it's today. I didn't specifically have any king cake. I brought it up with Samantha. She's like, if you want to. I was like, I wasn't going out of my way to find a king cake when it would have just been me eating it. So we did have a crawfish boil last weekend here at 23 Personnel South. It's pretty good. But no beignets, no king cake. So, all right.
This explains a lot. Real quick, this explains a lot my HEB trip that we had on. When did we go to HEB? Saturday. It was obviously they were having a crawfish boil, and I thought, oh, I guess it's crawfish season again. Anyway, my
Mhm.
brain just never processes when Mardi Gras and Fat Tuesday is. If not for my mother-in-law, I'd probably find out like a week later.
Well, it's because you have to know when Easter is, and then have to like back it up 6 weeks. And Easter is one of those holidays that isn't the same every year.
Yep.
Okay, let's wrap up with what we learned. What do you think?
I'm ready.
All right, I've been meaning to get this update for a while. Running Club. We've talked about this before. It was more egregious than ever the last time we had this run in with them. So there are actually two social running clubs in town. I probably mentioned them. One, they meet Saturdays. They bring a folding table. They have snacks for their group. The one on Saturday does this. But they set up their table. So if you imagine like the running track at a school, you get the little extra bits on the like a straightaway, like the sprinting lanes. You know how they have the little extra straight pieces at the end, right? So imagine like a lowercase b or d, right? Anyways, they very considerate in a very considerate fashion set up their table and all their space outside of the normal walking path of those or running path of those using the track. Wonderful. It doesn't bother me. Actually love to see them because they're just great people to be around. The one that I have run-ins with during the week, they started bringing a folding table for snacks and stuff. But where do they put it, Michael? In one of the lanes. And not only do they do that, then they congregate and they stand around it. So now they're taking up more space on the track in the way. And it's just obnoxious. I was grateful this morning. I was on my way to the track. The leader of this tried to get my attention because the track was closed because of a bee infestation, which cracked me up. She was trying to tell me that, like,
Probably
hey,
from all the dang snacks.
probably from all the snacks. You're right. Oh gosh, just throwing my ring. And I was like, when I saw her, I was just instantly annoyed. I was like, oh, I don't want to talk to you. Don't talk to me. I had headphones in, so I could, like, there was plausible deniability, like I just couldn't hear her. But I didn't acknowledge her at all. I was like, okay, good. So I saw her. I was irritated. Like, oh, they're here. They're gonna be in my way. Then the track was closed, trying to get my attention. But anyways, they're so inconsiderate. I don't understand, like, how you can want to be together on the track and then cause such a disruption for literally everybody else that wants to be there. Makes no sense. I have two more, I think. Is the Seeing Red Raiders in the Wild one yours or mine? Because I have something that goes with that.
That's yours.
Okay,
I don't remember. I don't remember typing that.
Well, okay, so it was on there. I was like I didn't remember it, and then as I was reading, I was like, oh yeah, I do remember that. One, I think I shared the experience where, or maybe I told Samantha, but I was in the grocery store one day. This guy, he caught my eye as I was trying to walk out. I was wearing a Tech shirt, and the look on his face looked like he recognized me, and like he was smiling. He was trying to get my attention. I was like, I couldn't, like, in that split second, I was like, I don't know where I know this guy from, but he's looking at me like I'm supposed to know who he is, right? So as my brain is like racing, trying to figure this out, he says, hey man, I like your shirt. Go Tech, and gives me guns up. But like, because we're passing each other and my brain is thinking about so hard trying to figure out where I know this guy from, I was like, yeah, cool, man. And I just like, that was such an awkward interaction because I had no idea who this man was. So all I had to say, if I saw you at the store, I don't know if you listen, and you're like, man, that was really awkward. Yeah, it was. I was trying to figure out where I knew you from, and I didn't. We didn't know each other. He was just trying to say, hey man, we're Texas Tech fans here, and it's great to see him. And then also I had a kind of a similar experience in the Houston airport. This past week, as I was traveling, I saw a bunch of Redditors in the airport wearing some gear. Not that they were traveling to or from a game. I just, just passed them wearing hats and everything. But I was because I had seen multiple, I was like ready to interact. So like when I caught their eye and we kind of waved or whatever, it wasn't awkward then. Being outside of Lubbock and seeing a Red Raider, it lifts you up. It buoys the spirits. So
not quite the similar experience, but just Saturday was the world's largest pancake festival here in Lubbock, and we ventured out there, enjoyed ourselves some pancakes and some sausages and some fine community involvement. And I wore, when I went to the Spurs game a couple weeks ago, which I'm still talking about, sorry, not sorry. When I went to that game, I bought a Wembanyama jersey.
Okay.
With like
nice.
the city colors, with like the it's got like a turquoise and an orange and a white stripe on it. It's really cool. Anyway, so I had a Wembanyama jersey on at the Pancake Festival, and I did get one guy come up to me like, "Hey man, go Spurs, go! We don't see a lot of Spurs fans out here." And I gave him a guns up because I didn't know what else to do. And I was like, "Yeah, we're few and far between." And then I just was like, "Why did I give you the?" Anyway, I hope he got it. I hope he knew what I meant. Was it being
mixed your
weird on
references?
purpose? It's just Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right. Why don't you go before I give my last one?
Okay. So I've got two. First, Court Queen update. I know everybody's dying to know how my first and second grade. Oh, well, not mine. I am not taking credit for this team because it's so much work for all the coaches that do. So, yeah. Anyway, my second graders, first and second grade team, the Court Queens, started off on an 0-3 skid to open the season. Brother, they've won 3 in a row.
Oh, nice.
They're
back.
they're 3-3 right now. They're sitting at 4th place. They're 2.5 games back. I don't think they're going to catch number 1, but they could sneak up a spot or two. We'll see. There's some wiggle room there, but last week, this is one of the most proud dad moments I've had in a very good while. So my daughter, who is she just started. She played her first ever basketball game like in October. But she liked it, and she likes the practice, and she likes playing around with me, and she likes, when our neighbor, when they've got their goal open, she's bouncing the ball all the time. She's really into it, and so we're encouraging it, but also not like trying to act like we're noticing how into it she is and enjoying it and just kind of letting it be. Yet inside we're both kind of screaming internally like, this is great. But anyway, so she's really taken a liking to it. Has shot the ball a few times, hadn't had any luck, but last week, the way they do defense in these leagues is you're matched with a girl wearing the same wristband. So they have 5 different color wristbands. They match them up before each quarter starts. And I was actually running the scoreboard this game, so this was kind of cool too. So I realized that the girl bringing the ball down the court, I don't think she's brought it down this whole quarter. And I thought, well, that's different. And I was like, oh man, who's supposed to be guarding her? And I realized, oh man, that's my kid. My kid's supposed to be guarding her, and I couldn't see her. And then she realized it about the same time I did. My kid did. So she ran up to the top of the key and just was like, yeah, that's mine. Stole the ball. Stole the ball from her. Sure. Yeah. But, once they cross half court, you can play defense. No pressing or anything in this league. So once she realized, oh man, that's my person, I need to go guard her. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to take the ball and I'm going to go on a fast break. And I'm going to make the contested layup because the girl kind of caught up with her at the end. Of course, the coach next to us mentioned something like, well, that's like a 6'6" guy shooting over me. Of course, because my daughter is kind of tall. She's a little bit taller, a little bit. So, I mean, I kind of enjoyed that. But what was really fun was, long story short, her first basket ever in a basketball game was on a fast break layup where she stole the ball, and I got to put the 2 points in on the scoreboard. And
one, she probably was fouled. Let's go.
Oh, there was a lot of like internal, again, like I mentioned already, internal screaming. There was you're trying to be impartial, but I was so proud of her. That was so great. And then I missed the second game last week because my mom and I attempted to go see Dwight Yoakam, who didn't show up till like after 10:30. And so anyway, I missed that game. But that game went into overtime. Our girls were down 9-5. They tied it up. My kid had a chance, I think, to win it. And that ball, from what my wife said, that ball bounced like all around the rim and didn't go in. So they went to overtime, Spencer, and won.
Okay.
So little 3-0 run. 3-0 run here for the Court Queens. They play tomorrow in the big gym. They're going to be in the big gym tomorrow. So it's gonna be a little bit different against the team that they. I think this was the team that started the winning streak, or the second. Anyway, we'll see. That's my update. My other update: we went to Caprock Canyon yesterday. Monday was President's Day, part of a 4-day weekend for those of you here in the Lubbock Cooper system for whatever reason. We had Friday off and Monday off. And
We
so
had Friday off. Daycare was off on Monday, which made it a very strange juggle.
yeah, that is, no, that makes no sense. So I took the day off and we ventured up to Caprock Canyon.
Nice.
Went on a pretty long hike. I mean, it was between 6 and 7 miles total, and it was and then it was a pretty strenuous at the beginning. Some pretty steep climbing. Part of it was because I led my family off trail and didn't really realize it. So it was pretty little steeper than it probably had to be there for a short stretch at the beginning. But we on the John Hayes Trail, we're fine. We made it. So we do our long big trail and then we come back. We're getting kind of wiped out at this point. It's probably about 5 miles, and we're getting closer and closer to the car and had a good day, but everybody's just kind of tired. And then you look up and there are 3 bison on the trail.
Oh, okay.
Coming straight towards us on the trail. And I saw them with plenty of time to stop and like turn around because I happened to be in front and tell the girls like, hey, there's bison up ahead. Let's just stop and see what happens. Because there was a riverbed that paralleled the trail. And so what they were doing is they were in that riverbed and then they would climb up out of the riverbed. And what I hoped they would do is they would just cross the trail and continue north. But no, what they did was they climbed out of that riverbed, got on the trail, and then started slowly making their way directly towards us. And so I thought, we're not messing around with this. And luckily, it was kind of a clearing in that area. So we pulled off to the south, pretty far off trail, tried to get at least the 50 yards distance that they say. I just kind of stood patiently waiting for them to walk by. And as we were waiting, one of them burst through the trees towards us, directly towards us. And it was a calf too, which also makes you nervous. Looked like it was charging us. Wasn't, because it was just a calf playing around. So we had started to kind of not run, but move briskly further south and away from them. But that calf stopped, pretty quickly after bursting through the trees, and just was rolling around in the dirt and just being a free bison. But we were very much freaked out, and so we went way off trail even more. Our legs got all skin up. We got back on the trail way later, and man, we were a ball of nerves the rest of the way. It was like it might have ruined it for us. Like the bison experience was not fun, not an enjoyable thing. Because I mean, a bike rider was just out just over the summer or the fall, got gored and died out there. It wasn't really in the news very much for some reason. But anyway, we did everything we were supposed to do because we went to the gift shop later because I wanted a sticker. And I made sure not to get a bison sticker. I got a Roadrunner one. I did see a Roadrunner that day too. So
nice.
It's not stolen valor. I saw a Roadrunner at Caprock Canyon State Park. But we were pushed off the trail, and rightfully scared slightly by what appeared to be a charging bison heading straight towards the 3 of us.
Yeah, so we never made it all the way up to Caprock Canyon. Sorry, Paladuro. We made it to Caprock, and that was recent. I think it was last spring. Even we were up there for the day. It was it's actually a rainy day when it happened. It was kind of overcast and drizzly. No wildlife interaction like that. We just did a little hiking loop and came back and had lunch and drove back. And but yeah. Okay, so this last thing I wanted to bring up, Michael, and I do so delicately because we don't like to wade into politics, and this is about as political as we ever get. I saw something recently that made me stop and think, like, not that people need to hear my thoughts, and my advice. But it was just like we need to acknowledge that, like, if your reaction to hearing something you disagree with is to meet that person or that thing with violence, you're the problem. It's not whatever you're disagreeing about. It's that your go-to reaction to a non-violent disagreement is to escalate to violence. You're the problem. So we're adults, Michael. You don't have to. Like, I'm saying not to you specifically. Like I have a problem with you, but like if you and I were to have a disagreement, and we don't see eye to eye on everything, we don't have to.
Gosh, I would punch you so hard in the face.
That's the thing, is this
So
guy was
hard.
like he was what brought this up was there was somebody exercising a First Amendment right about something he was in support of, and somebody disagreed with him and just punched him in the face just
Well,
because he said, I
this-
support X.
This even goes to, I mean, youth sports. So my buddy Ace Man down in Joshua, America, was telling me about the game he went to where his kindergartner, there was a fist fight in the parking lot over traveling after like a kindergarten age basketball game. He said it's just ridiculous out there, especially with
Yeah.
that league, because he has an older daughter too, and I don't think it's as bad, but it's just like everything else with kids sports. Sometimes you just draw the bad league, or the team with kids that are, I don't know, that have parents that fuel all these things, or whatever. We've been really fortunate so far, but I know that that's not always the case. But yeah, just for it to trail out into the parking lot for that type of thing, to where you feel like, well, obviously I need to punch this guy because we disagreed on how a 6-year-old basketball game should be called.
So one, yeah, that's dumb. Getting involved in that level of disagreement or heated nature over youth sports, ridiculous. But also, like, being able to voice your support of something should come without the fear of some kind of physical abuse. That's kind of the purpose of the rights that we have, is you should be able to voice your support or dissent in a non-violent way and expect to be received with non-violence. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I think that'll do it for us, Michael, here on the 23 Personnel Podcast. Baseball update, really quick. Top of the ninth. Texas Tech is up 19-12. The basketball game is at the under 8 timeout there in the first half. Texas Tech, Arizona State tied at 20. There was a stretch there where Texas Tech hadn't scored a field goal in like 4 minutes. We turned the ball over, and Arizona State won an 8-0 run. Either way, back and forth. That'll do it for us. For Michael, I'm Spencer. I'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LVK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.